Look,
City?
everybody can rejoice in this, okay? The only way communism works, the only way a Mamdani can succeed is if he has a dictatorship. If he can force people not to leave New York, which he can't, but if he can do that, then he can just put a gun to your head and say, I'm going to tax you 80% and take your money and give it to whoever he wants. In New York City, in New York State, in America, it doesn't work that way. People are going to leave. Corporations are going to leave. Billionaires are going to leave. So when he tries to squeeze people, they're just going to leave. The money's going to go. So there is no way he can succeed in doing what he wants to do. So the only question is in the details. How's it going to break down? How quickly are people going to leave? We don't know. But his utopian scheme that he has sold all of these ignorant young people in Brooklyn, that cannot work. It doesn't even work if you have a dictatorship, but you can kind of make it work for a few decades, if you're a thug, but you cannot make it work in New York. So it's going to be a very entertaining season.
So, Eric, I was at the World Trade Center in New York City when the planes flew into the World Trade Center. I watched them come down. I've lost 16 very close friends, part of a floor trader group that I was part of. When the planes hit and the towers came down, one of the engines fell on top of a building near the World Trade Center. I'll never forget this. There was a group of Muslims that wanted to make that building a mosque. It was called the Ground Zero Mosque. I don't know if you remember that. There was a group of us who pushed back aggressively against doing that. Because one of the planes that killed 3,000 New Yorkers, the engine fell on the rooftop of one of those buildings. That's where they wanted the Ground Zero Mosque. We pushed back, it didn't happen. Is this a whole new New York now? Are there going to be Ground Zero mosques and mosques everywhere? I think we have some VO of Muslims praying in Times Square. Is this city going to be recognizable to us, for New Yorkers of 40 years, starting now? Look at this. This is insane.
Eric, it remains to be seen. Listen, I just have to say, radical Islam, the kind of Islam you're seeing there, the kind of Islam that has taken over London and Paris, is not compatible with American values. Now, you have to understand what I mean by that. What I mean by that is if you want to be a Muslim in America, Americans are tolerant. We will tolerate you, whatever you want to do. But when you try to bring those values onto a larger scale, they conflict with our values of freedom. And so will Americans stand against this? I hope Americans stand against this. It's one thing to be welcoming and to say, it's kind of like if a neighbor moves in and you say, well, I've got problems with their values, but they certainly have a right to live there. But if those values begin to impinge on your life, at some point you say, excuse me, no, you cannot be, doing that in the backyard.
If they start ringing,
that's not okay.
If the call to prayer bells or whatever they are, charms or whatever they do several times a day, they're doing it in Dearborn, Michigan, they're doing it in Minneapolis. If they start doing it in New York City, isn't that impinging on the fabric of Americans?
If you ask me, to me, it's offensive. It's offensive. We're supposed to have, it's kind of funny, isn't it? People always talk about separation of church and state. So you can't impose Christian values, but what about Muslim values? At what point do you say, excuse me, you can do that in your house, you can do that in your mosque, but you can't do that in the middle of Times Square. You have to have the courage of your convictions. Do enough New Yorkers have the courage of their convictions?
If the mayor condones it, there's nowhere to go from there. You can't ask Trump to stop that. They would say it's a federal takeover of America's largest city. Final thought.
Well, listen, that's the kind of thing that honestly, I don't know where it goes. But as I was saying before, we have a free market. We have freedom. People can leave. People are going to leave. Tourism is going to go into the basement. People are not going to come to Times Square if they think I'm going to get mugged or stabbed, or I'm going to deal with hordes of angry Muslims spitting on me because I'm a Jew. I mean, if that happens, tourism is big business for New York. So this is the kind of thing where living in a free country, that works in our advantage. Ultimately, people are going to vote with their feet. They're going to leave. They're going to take their money, whether they're tourists or whether they're billionaires creating businesses in New York. When those folks leave, the city goes down the tubes, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. The scary part is it could all happen. He could condone all this nonsense. the people with money, the people who are doing businesses, the people who are taking risks to create business may leave, and it could end up being a wasteland, much like London has become, much like some of the other major cities, Paris, even in Germany as well. So, Eric, you make so much sense every time we have you on. We love having you back. And if you could go ahead and use that, Eric Metaxas, if you will.
Eric Metaxas, but often people say, what part of Texas? I go, no, Metaxas.
Well, you may want to, with what's going on in New York.
I go there all the time.
Good to see you again, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.